Hi, everyone. Welcome to another live streaming Healthy Minds meditation. It's been a while. It's good to be here. Good to connect. I'm going to open up. We're going to be talking about connection and kindness today. It's a bit of a connection month at the Center for Healthy Minds and Healthy Minds Innovations. And if you don't know, Healthy Minds Innovations is a nonprofit that's associated with a world-renowned research lab called the Center for Healthy Minds, exploring how to make actionable, practical, useful tools for well-being based on the latest science. And this month, connection is one of the 4 pillars of a healthy mind in the Healthy Minds framework. And today we're specifically going to explore kind of like a subtopic of connection, which is the topic of kindness. And I got to admit, when I started meditating, when I started doing these practices, this was a tough one for me, the whole pillar of connection and compassion and kindness. It all felt kind of, Hallmark card to me, a little bit woo-woo, a little bit out there, and also just didn't feel like every time I did the practices, it just didn't feel like anything was happening. So I was quite skeptical at first. And then over time, not only did I get more comfortable with the practices and start to get a lot of benefits from them, I also learned more about the science of those practices and also about our culture and our culture's reluctance to be open to these things. And I saw that as one of the reasons why I struggled with it so much. I've been really inspired and lucky to work with teenagers from the next generation in a couple of projects recently. And it's really inspiring to see like this current batch of teenagers. It's really cool to be kind, which was not the case at all when I was a teenager. It was really cool to be a jerk when I was a teenager. And all the messages I were getting were about being a jerk. So I'm thinking a lot about the next generation. You're going to hear my son in the background. I have a 2-year-old. So I've been really thinking about like where the world is going. And it's almost like each of these practices we do can be a small drop in the ocean of moving first ourselves and our minds, and through that, the world, to a kinder, more compassionate place. So we really are doing important work here when we do these practices. The one thing I will say before we dive into the practice is I'm going to be asking you to bring certain individuals to mind to work with. And yeah, if this feels awkward, it feels a little different for you, if this is new to you, then take it lightly, stay open, be curious and explore. You always have the permission to enjoy this space of community sharing and do whatever practice you feel is more relevant for you in this moment, and we can just stay connected. But if you do follow the guidance, stay open and stay curious. And also, just before, maybe it'd be nice to get a little bit of a comment in the chat. I would love to hear. I see that we've got some hellos from David and Christine and Kira from Munich. Welcome. Angela from Colombia. Hello, Christine. Love to hearing him. Yeah, I was a little bit worried because it would be distracting to have my 2-year-old, but I hope he's part of your meditation experience today. Apologies for any interruption. I would also maybe just invite you before we get started to click onto that chat box, get ready to type. And we've got a little bit of a virtual group here in this time where we're so disconnected, and maybe just share some kind words to whoever might need to hear them. So maybe it could be your life motto or a quote you love or a philosophy or just whatever comes to mind, but something that we all might benefit from hearing, because you never know. There might be someone on this call who needs to hear exactly what you have to share. So do not be shy. Jump in that chat box, share some kind words. Sometimes there's a kind of feeling of nervousness or discomfort with sharing a kind sentiment. But what the science is really showing us is not only does kindness bolster our social connection, and that's beneficial for well-being when things are going well in life, but it's also extremely beneficial to be offering kindness and compassion and increasing that social connection with the challenging times in life. So no matter what you're facing, whatever's going on these days, we're almost a year into these pandemic lockdowns. Sometimes a little kindness, even if it feels like it's not the right time to be kind, if you feel wrapped up or you feel angry, sometimes that can be really powerful. Jess preferred the 2-year-old as musical. Thank you. Appreciate that. There's some kind words to get us started. So let's dive in. We're going to do a 10-minute practice. I like to keep it short on these streams. You're more than welcome to continue on afterwards if you want to go longer. Get a comfortable position that feels safe for you, that feels restful, yet alert. So that could be on a chair, could be on a cushion, could be standing up. Standing up is highly recommended if you have challenges with drowsiness in meditations like this. You could also lie down. I know some bodies really love to lie down. If you do lie down, I recommend not being so comfortable that you're likely to fall asleep. Kira deeply appreciates meditating with us together. Thank you, Kira. Thank you for being here. Let's do it. So if you like to close your eyes, go ahead and do that. If you like to keep them open, find a spot to kind of rest your gaze and defocus your gaze and stare at it. Before we get into it, let's just take a moment to do nothing at all. There's no rush into this practice. Maybe it's even a little bit of self-kindness to just drop the doing and just be. Let all your experience be exactly as it is. Nothing to fix, nothing to change. Everything is okay the way it is for these few moments. This can just feel like a break, but it can also feel like a radical act, especially in our modern world where we're constantly doing, constantly trying to improve and optimize and quantify. It can be a radical act of self-kindness to just say, you know what? Everything's fine just for these few breaths. Just let it all be. This is life with all its ups and downs. So we're starting this practice with this act of self-care, of just letting ourselves be. If it helps for you, you're more than welcome to repeat a few phrases in your mind if that helps, or maybe even just single words. Sometimes I like to just say the word peace or the word ease on every out-breath. Traditional phrases like, may I be peaceful, may I be happy. You can try those as well. Or if the phrases just kind of feel awkward to you, then just forget about it. Another thing you can also try is visualizing. Visualize a beautiful place. Visualize yourself in a state of well-being. If that feels awkward, you can just curl up the corners of your mouth into a smile. Or maybe do none of those things. You're in charge of your own practice. The idea here is to find some way to give yourself a little bit of kindness in this moment. To let yourself be, to let it all hang out. Nothing to fix. Nothing to change. Nothing to do. It's so easy to focus on everything that's wrong, everything that needs to change. And those are important things. But at least for these few minutes, let's focus on what's right. Let's just enjoy, in some way, what we can call the absolute perfection of this moment. Every sense experience can be viewed in so many different frames. I can hear my son in the background as a distraction, and I can get worried about it disrupting our time together. Or I can just see it as part of the process. And as we transition, I can point to some of the lovely messages in the chat. Reminded me that some of you might enjoy hearing his voice, and that gives me permission to accept the situation. This is the power of kindness. And so now I'm going to invite you, if you want to. So if you're happy where you are, stay where you are. Do nothing. Relax. If you're interested in exploring a little bit more, I encourage you to bring someone to mind, whoever comes to mind naturally, who you find an uncomplicated relationship of love and positivity for you. It might be someone you know, someone in your family. It might be a public figure who you admire. Could be not even a human being. Could be a cat or a dog or an animal. Could also be a fictional character. So whoever comes to mind is okay. You don't have to find the perfect answer here. And once you've got someone in mind, see if you can take that same kindness and extend it outward to this individual. You don't need to believe in some kind of metaphysical energy sharing across space-time to just acknowledge that this individual can be a focus object for you to cultivate kindness in your own mind. So visualize that individual. You may notice sounds associated, like the sound of their voice or something they often say. And so see if you can bask in their presence. And if you want to offer them phrases or words like peace and ease, or may you be happy, may you be peaceful, whatever feels right. I really encourage you to be the author of your own practice today. Whatever feels right to extend kindness to this other individual, this loved one, this inspiring, positive person. Let the presence and the sense of this individual and their identity be a kind of spark for you. Spark for you to open up in this moment to kindness, to connection, just letting it wash over you. And again, if this feels awkward or unsettling, or just experimenting, just explore. It's okay if it's not working well for you. Just try it and learn whatever there is to learn from this experience. It can help to try to picture this individual or this being in vivid clarity in your mind's eye, in your imagination. Or if you're saying phrases or hearing sounds, to really listen to those with clarity, to listen in your internal auditory sense, to listen to the sound of their voice, or to listen to the sound of your own voice, wishing them well, offering that kindness, really tuning into that experience. You may notice body sensations arise. Just notice what happens. And for this last minute or two, I want you to let go of that individual. And we're just going to dip our toes in the water. So if this is completely new to you, I want you to bring to mind someone more neutral. Could be someone who you see, on your street or in your building. It could be someone who works at the grocery store or a shop, someone who's a friend of a friend of a friend. And see if you can offer them kindness in the exact same way. See what that feels like. And if this is something you've done a lot of, this kind of kindness practice, you're more than welcome to try someone who's more of a difficult or challenging person if it feels like that might be beneficial in this moment. So again, take a moment to select someone. There's no right answer, just whoever comes to mind. It's either neutral or challenging. And then try to picture them with vivid clarity and maybe even say a few words to offer them kindness. Maybe just a single word, maybe a phrase. Good, just stay with it another minute or so. Final stretch, a chance to start again and make use of this last minute. Open yourself up completely to your own innate potential for kindness and connection. Okay, nice work. Take your time transitioning out. You can slowly open your eyes, watch the light pour in if they were closed. You can move your body, feel what that feels like, give yourself a stretch, get a sip of water or tea, whatever you need in this moment. All right. And whenever you're ready, sharing in the chat, I always love to see your comments. Whatever seems to have come up in that practice, you might share an experience report, which is like something that happened in the practice that's notable. You might have a question, something came up and you weren't sure whether you were doing it right or how to deal with it. You might just share a reflection or an insight or a quote or a piece of poetry, whatever feels kind and worth sharing. And I will say, in these contexts of a meditation practice, I find sharing to be an act of generosity. Sometimes it can be paralyzing, like, who am I to share something in the chat? But one of the especially, it's Connection Month here, one of the fundamental things here is that we're all so much more similar than we are different. And so if you share something, even if it's something personal or something challenging, like, the specific person you worked with or a specific experience, you never know, but the odds are someone else needed to hear that or had a question that you just answered or just felt seen and heard to know that someone else had a very similar experience. So please do share in the chat. And while I wait for your comments, one thing that's interesting about the scientific framework at the Center for Healthy Minds, the awareness practices, connection practices, insight practices, and purpose practices. It's kind of like 4 categories, and they all have different kind of scientific backing and exploration. But the connection section, I think there's a couple of scientific findings in there that are kind of mind-bending. And one of them is that your level of social connection versus isolation that you have, that, you know, in your life, has a direct impact on your physiological health, right? There are some studies that very clearly show, for example, in the elderly, that social isolated is as much a predictor of, you know, negative health outcomes as things like smoking. So we really are social animals. And the other beautiful part of this framework, and one of the reasons why I'm so passionate about Healthy Minds, is the framing that these are not just like properties of who you are that you just have to deal with, that they're skills, and that the science shows it's trainable. So 10, 15 years ago, when I first did a practice like this, and I was like, why do I have to say these phrases? What is this kind of like, you know, Hallmark card, you know, culty stuff that I'm doing? Now I really clearly see it as, if I just take 10 minutes like we just did to practice being more positive, I can actually see that roll out in my life. And the science is showing that I can actually become a more positive person. And that is exactly what I've noticed in my own life. It's one thing to read a science paper. It's another thing to read a science paper and just say, this is what happened to me. This is exactly what these practices, the effect that they've had on me over the years. So really, really powerful. Let's see what's in the chat here. Oh, thank you for the kind words. Oh, Christine, you saw my kitty. Yeah, she's right here. Her name's Panger. You've got your kitty sleeping in your lap too. So look, our kitties were virtually connected as well. Isn't that wonderful? Your son's chatter helped me think of my daughter-in-law who is pregnant with my first grandbaby. Oh, that's so exciting. Sending her and the baby positive thoughts for an easier pregnancy. Beautiful, wonderful. I'm sending some positive vibes there too. Pregnancy and becoming parents is no joke. I feel like I'm just coming out of the blur of it. The second person was a neighbor who's widowed. Yeah, wonderful how we can tap into that natural desire to help, that these are the people that come up, the people that really need some support right now. Anita had a revelatory experience. Starting with someone I love reminded me that capacity for kindness is always there. Also appreciate the reality of hearing your little one and glimpse the visiting cat. Yeah, that's my life. I've got some cute things in my life right now, and I try to stay grateful for it as opposed to get wrapped up in them interrupting my streaming meditations. My family, friends, and partners. Hi, David. My family, friends, and partners are all quite important to me, but just as much as people I come across on the sidewalk. That's a beautiful sentiment. I hope to one day be there. That's so beautiful. It's something I believe in. Hard to feel in daily life. So much gratitude for Healthy Minds and positive psychology coming to existence. Yes, Robert, me too. Jess, cats are curious as to what their bipeds are up to. Oh, I love that. You know what, I feel like the reason Panger, my kitty, comes around, she's right behind me now, when I'm meditating, is that I feel like I'm finally doing something that she understands. Like, she's like, why are you looking at this rectangle of light all the time? And why do you keep picking up objects from one part of the house and moving them to the other for some reason? Like, cats just don't get it. But then when I sit in meditation, she's like, oh, you're relaxing, you're sitting still, you're kind of connecting with your sense experience. I get that. Let's come do it together. And then she always comes right beside me. I feel like she understands when I'm eating, when I'm sleeping, and when I'm meditating. And there's something to that about just how natural it is to sit in contemplation. So thank you, everyone. It's nice to be back. It's been a while. It's so nice to see all your names and hear your wonderful comments. Just so you know, Stephanie and Court from Healthy Minds are leading a retreat on Saturday on connection and cultivating healthy relationships. And at this same time slot, 1 week from now, Dr. Richie Davidson, the founder of Center for Healthy Minds and Healthy Minds Innovations, is going to be doing a practice on widening the circle. And I'll be back to see you soon. And as always, don't hesitate to reach out. I hope you're doing well. I hope you're peaceful. I hope you're finding a sense of ease. And if you are not, I hope you at least can find some balance given the ups and downs of life, especially in these crazy couple of years that we're dealing with together. So thank you so much. Take care. Bye-bye.